You this old woman. You this old woman, I will beat you to death.
Number 14, Bomba Street sat like a clenched fist in the heart of the city. 12 rooms circled a narrow courtyard, zinc roofs scorched by the sun, walls stained by years of neglect. By day, voices were low. By night, even laughter sounded careful. The compound belonged to Madame Aderonke, and fear was the true currency everyone paid. Madame Aderonke was a woman hardened by years of resentment. Tall, heavy-set, always dressed in stiff, expensive lace, she ruled the compound with a voice that cracked like a whip. Her footsteps alone were enough to send children scrambling indoors. "Where is my money?" she shouted often, pounding on doors at dawn. Rent rose without warning. 1 month it was bearable, the next it doubled. Complaints were met with locked doors, seized belongings, or public humiliation in the courtyard. Worse still, Madame Aderonke had protection. A few discreet payments ensured the police would come, not to mediate, but to intimidate. The tenants stayed because living was impossible. Among them was Iya Morenike, a widowed fish seller with 3 children. Her clothes were always neat but faded, her hands rough from work. 2 of her children coughed through most nights. When rent rose again, she knelt in the courtyard, voice trembling. "Please, madam," she begged, "give me 1 more week." He slapped him without hesitation. The sound echoed. Iya Morenike borrowed money that evening, tears dropping silently as she stirred soup over a weak flame. There was also Baba Taiwo, a long-time tenant who repaired radios and small generators by the gate, quiet, dependable, respected. When his tools were stolen and he fell short on rent, Madame Aderonke called the police. Inspector Ogunleye arrived with practiced arrogance. Baba Taiwo was dragged away as neighbors watched helplessly. He returned days later, thinner and withdrawn. By the end of the month, he packed his things and left the compound forever. Hope was scarce at number 14. Then one evening, a stranger arrived. Her name was Adirinsola. She entered calmly, carrying a single travel bag. She did not bargain. She counted out 6 months' rent and placed it on the table. Madame Aderonke stared in disbelief. No tenant had ever done that. Room 10, long abandoned, was opened for her. Aderinsola kept to herself. She moved with discipline, woke before dawn to jog, read quietly at night. She did not gossip. She did not complain. Children watched her with curiosity. Adults watched with cautious hope. The breaking point came on a hot afternoon. Madame Aderonke stormed into the courtyard, accusing Aderinsola of burning candles illegally. "You want to burn my house?" she shouted, gripping her arm. "Remove your hand," Aderinsola said calmly. The slap landed. What followed stunned everyone. With controlled precision, Aderinsola stepped aside, twisted Madame Aderonke's wrist, and sent her crashing into a chair. The courtyard froze. Furious and humiliated, Madame Aderonke screamed for the police. Inspector Ogunleye returned with 2 officers. They underestimated her. In seconds, batons were neutralized, wrists locked, bodies pinned to the ground. There was no rage in her movements, only clarity. Authority collapsed in front of everyone. "This is power?" Aderinsola asked quietly. "Beating people who cannot defend themselves?" Silence answered her. She spoke of her father, a former soldier who had trained her body and mind. She said she had come deliberately to confront cruelty disguised as authority. Turning to Madame Aderonke, she said, "You already punish yourself. You have property, but no peace. money, but no love. Something shattered. Madam Aderonke sank into a chair and wept. She spoke of a husband who abandoned her years ago, of bitterness that fermented into cruelty, of loneliness masked as control. She apologized, raw, exposed, sincere, and she changed. Rent was reduced by 30%. Repairs began. Broken pipes were fixed. Doors were unlocked. When tenants struggled, she helped. The compound softened. Aderisola stayed 2 years. She taught the children self-defense, confidence, balance. Laughter returned to the courtyard. When she left, there was no ceremony, only gratitude. Today, people still speak of number 14 Bomba Street. They speak of how cruelty met courage and how power was redefined. They say it is proof that no one is beyond change and that true strength lies not in fear, but in justice and restraint.